I'm Naomi Thompson. I'd like to officially welcome you to Stone Mountain Park, and I am the education supervisor for the Stone Mountain Memorial Association. But I'm very glad to introduce our opening speaker, Hermina Glass-Hill. I first met her, I think maybe just after she had worked with Kennesaw National Battlefield, and she was really trying to work with them to make sure they had a multicultural view for their interpretation. We all know that it's important to know our resource and to really continually look at that. And I also know that Stone Mountain Park has so many meetings for people. There's so many uses here, and so to get her to provoke us into a discussion, perhaps, or at least, again, be an example of, again, as interpreters, we know that we need to sometimes bring up many issues at our own park that might be difficult to do, or how we might do it. That's also what I thought her talk could be an example about. Her talk is kind of weighty, so I think she's going to have a lot for us, and I'm really glad to welcome her. So please welcome Hermina Glass-Hill.
Good evening. I would like to thank Naomi Thompson and the Stone Mountain Memorial Association for hosting this event, and the NIA Sunny Southeast Regional Workshop Planning Committee for the invitation to indulge you for a few moments on the topic between the elephant and the mountain. I would also like to express my gratitude for the kind stewardship and information shared with me by Miss Carolyn, the docent at Memorial Hall, Mr. Bill, the gift shop associate, and Barbara Roy, who gave me an overview of the plantation and farmyard. I know that somehow an old friend of mine, I'm not sure that she's here, Mary Beth Reed, is Mary Beth here? She's not here, that she had something to do with extending the invitation to me, and I am grateful to her. I would also like to express my gratitude, love, and appreciation to my dear husband, who is here, my rock, and my BFF, Brooke, who's always supportive of my work. It is my hope that you may glean some value from this talk and the very important work that each of you do as interpreters at your respective natural, cultural, and historical sites, where I presume that the concepts of land, flag, the American flag, and freedom are inherently represented, thematically at least, and the underlying narrative each of your interpretive sites present, and where the centrality of what you do is expressed clearly and succinctly in the words of Freeman Tilden: through interpretation, understanding; through understanding, appreciation; through appreciation, protection. You have a tremendous task of connecting visitors to parks, nature conservancies, historical sites, waterways, aquaria, zoos, the places where people go to learn and to experience. Yours is the art of alluring and transporting and revealing to potential visitors something of the beauty and wonder, the inspirational and spiritual meaning that lie behind what the visitors can, with his or her senses, perceive. I will try and make this as interactive as possible. I think that sort of like, how many of you like karaoke or have done karaoke before? I'm gonna make this a little interactive karaoke style. That's how we do it in a dirty South. With an interaction of songs that center around land, flag, and freedom, the personal and the universal, which will balance nicely with the weight of the elephant in the room. So interpreting in an urban environment requires some understanding that the urban setting is dynamic, fluid, and multicultural. It is a space that is constantly changing, transforming, contradicting, building, breathing, enlarging, shrinking, trading, and employing new technology, sprawling, consuming, and deteriorating. It is rhythmic, it has tempo, and in the midst of the toing and froing, people, Human beings have to live, breathe, and have their being because we're spiritual beings. This notion of spirit does not simply refer to a supernatural essence, but rather to a nexus of intellect, imagination, and passion that is the product of interpretation. And I do not mean spiritual in a religious way, but as a way of connecting to one another, connecting to the environment, connecting to the land in an existentialist sort of way that allows us the space to collect our thoughts and to ask ourselves the essential questions about life. Who are we? Why are we here? Where do we want to go? And what kinds of experiences can enrich our lives? These experiences must, according to Carrie Mitchell, author of The Soul of Things, speak to the individual personality of the visitor and to the universal potential of visitors, I might add. For when stimulated to imaginatively transport themselves into a national historical scene, a prehistoric landscape, or into the eyes of an ancestor, visitors are led to a certification of spirit. E pluribus unum, out of many one, is reflected in modern cities and urban spaces, and that certainly is true for the statistical metropolitan area of Atlanta, which includes Stone Mountain Park. Characteristics of the urban environment are high population density, diversity, commerce and trade, infrastructure, and so on. Many cultural heritage resources are places where we, human beings, go to sort of pull back from the busyness or the business of urban living. While the urban environment may appear at odds with what cultural heritage sites offer human beings, reflection, education, respite, recreation, what I believe is really happening is that we visit these resources to round out and complete the fullness of who we really are. To be sure, there are specific challenges of interpreting cultural heritage sites, whether they be in urban or rural environments.